Great. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Somers Town Board regular meeting here at 7 o'clock on Thursday, April 21st, 2022. If everybody could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Well, thank you everybody for joining us here this evening. For the people out there in the room here with us tonight, really do appreciate it. And if we could please start with roll call.
Councilman William P. Faulkner.
Here.
Councilman Richard G. Lynch.
Present.
Councilman Anthony J. Sirico.
Here.
Councilman Thomas A. Garrity Jr.
Here.
Supervisor Rob Scarano.
Here. All right. I'd like to open up the public hearing. I'd like to make a motion to open up public hearing. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Patty, do we have any publishings or postings for this?
That was published in the Somers Record and posted on the Town Clerk's Bulletin Board on April 7th.
Okay, great. Do we have any comments here for a public hearing? Anybody? Nothing here for the.
I want to ask some questions about the infrastructure at some point.
Of the stretch
Sure.
code or just?
Of the
in
stretch
general?
code or
In
just
general.
in
Yeah,
general?
that'll
Then we'll
become
wait
under
that for
public
public comment. Okay. Great. So I'd like to make a motion to close public hearing. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. So number one on here is the proposed local law to add a new chapter to the code of the town of Somers with regard to the provisions of the New York State Stretch Code of 2020. I'd like to make a motion to adopt the code.
Wait,
First, adopt the neg deck, please.
we have to adopt the
Okay.
negative declaration.
I make a motion, we adopt neg deck.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great.
Now adopt it.
Now I'd like to make a motion to adopt the local law for the New York State Stretch Code.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Would he want to just
He's gonna-
summarize it?
Don, do you want to, you don't need to summarize. Do we need to summarize? No. Well, we can,
Want to tell us
Yeah.
about it?
We had a couple meetings on it.
yeah, I mean, if you want to touch for a
Anything?
few seconds when you, something else, when you come up to the.
Oh,
you
that's
can-
right. He's here.
He's coming up before
Right,
too,
right,
so
right,
he
right,
can,
right,
he could say something then.
right.
Right. Great. I'd like to open up public comment.
We got rolling.
Oh, go ahead, Ron. I gotta move pretty fast.
Pardon me?
Roland, anything?
Patty, I was just going to remind you that the filing requirements for this are a little bit different. In addition to filing with the Secretary of State, it also has to go to the State Department Building Code Council for review. I think the building inspector can give you that address.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Roland. All right, I'd like to, we'll go ahead to public comment here. I'd like to make a motion to open up public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So if anybody's here to make a public comment, you can please step up to the podium here. Please keep it to like 3 minutes. And if you would come on up and state your name and address.
I'm Bob Madigan and I live on Carolyn Way. And I want to keep my comments about infrastructure in the town. Our representative Maloney had issued press releases starting in January up until yesterday about funds for infrastructure, water treatment, roads, et cetera, et cetera. So I was thinking about it and want to have a few specific questions about Somers. First, Dean's Bridge was scheduled for removal by the state. Do we know where that stands?
Currently, right now, we don't know where actually that stands. I know they're in the process of talking about it.
I thought it was decided that it was going to be removed.
Yeah, but I don't have a timeline or a date for when that will be.
Wasn't there one issued at some point of a timeline? It's going back a few years now.
I don't
Yeah,
recall.
That was going back a few years. We're talking
Dean's
about the
Bridge.
other bridge.
Well,
And
Plumbrook,
in
that
part
was
of
my,
that-
that would be my next
Right,
question.
part of that,
They're two separate,
right.
um,
At that time, that was going to be removed. Then there was discussion about Plumbrook. You're right.
so could the board find out where we stand on the removal of Dean's Bridge?
Normally
We
during
cer-
public comment, sir, we listen to the questions because this is what happened.
Okay,
We're not-
sure.
We don't know what the questions are going to be. so
Sure.
We're not prepared to
That's a
answer.
question. Dean's Bridge, no, it was funded to be removed. When's it going to be removed? There was a process. It was all
Yep.
laid out, timeline, what's happened to it. The discussion of moves on to Plumbrook Road. It's all going back to Sean Patrick Maloney's infrastructure push. There's a lot of money flowing out there. What are we doing with that bridge? Has anything been decided? And if not, why not? I know there was a big discussion about
That's not a town
traffic.
bridge.
I understand
Yeah.
that, but it's in our town.
Right.
And if you read our updated master plan, we talk about how it's important to have traffic move smoothly through town, and that particular bridge is an important part of our infrastructure in town.
Well,
So-
that bridge has been closed for decades. They came
I
to talk
understand
about
that.
removing it many years, even before the time you're talking about.
Mhm.
And there was such an uproar from portions of the town that
Right.
basically the state just left. They just said, we're not going to deal with you anymore.
Okay, the updated plan, master plan from 2016, I believe, talks about our
Oh, no, I know.
roadways, and
Yep, I know what it talks about. I'm just telling
So-
you what happened is,
I understand that. Thank you.
Yeah.
So as far as you know, nothing is going on with that bridge. And
Well, I would also.
is it something that you're interested in
No,
finding out?
no, we would
about?
have to go back and take a look at that again.
Okay,
As I recall,
So-
those structures belong to the New York
The state.
City. It's
or
actually the
city rather.
Department of Environmental Protection.
Yeah.
And this, what had occurred in the past, gets in their budget to do it,
Mhm.
but then it falls by the wayside. So
okay.
to your
So,
point is, I get it.
so my point
what's
is
the
that there's a lot of
status?
infrastructure money out there. We should
Yeah.
go after it if we can.
That would
to
be,
use
all right,
to-
so you're talking about the federal money. The DEP would have to take some of this federal money, apply it to that. It wouldn't actually come to the town to do it. The last time we had a discussion here, you probably remember, because I think you were here.
Mhm.
There was discussion of rebuilding the bridge, replacing the bridge
Right.
for emergency vehicles.
Use only.
And that there was an application for, I think, a grant to the DEP. The price tag had escalated to about 8 million. After that, at least I'm not aware of any further discussions. So
Right.
maybe it's on a desk in New York
Well,
City waiting for federal money. I'm not sure.
I'm going back to these press releases from Mr. Maloney's office, going back to January, about the billions of dollars for projects just like this, water projects, road projects,
So we'll
infrastructure.
take a look
In
at it.
fact, his
Yeah.
first press release talks about 17,000 bridges in the state of New York that need to be repaired, and that this money will repair those, and it will be used to create millions, plural, of jobs. He won't answer me on the millions of jobs. So I'm trying to find out from you guys whether there's money to fix things in our
What
town.
I can do is look into the Dean's Bridge into Plumbrook
That'd be great.
and do that. And if you want to leave those press releases there for
Sure.
me as well on the table.
I will.
I'll be more than happy to take a look at them and see what you're referring to.
Back in the fall, there was a survey by the town for sewering in Purdy's, Lake Purdy's. Can you tell me what the result of that survey was? And have you guys done anything about it?
We're always in discussions talking about sewers and infrastructure and water. So we're always in communication and talking about that as well.
I understand that. What was
Um,
the result of the survey?
So the result of the survey here, there was multiple areas that were looked at. I think we need to do a little bit deeper dive into those surveys to see how serious people were in favor or against on that.
Okay,
And we're in
thank
the
you.
process of doing that.
Thank you. The current state budget approved, I believe, TOH, transit-oriented housing. It's left in the budget. Okay, I know there was brouhaha about units, I forget, ADUs, I think. But transit-oriented housing, how does that affect our town, specifically Lake Purdy's? That would be my question to you guys for at some point to come back to us as citizens of Lake Purdy's.
Is it your understanding that made it through the budget? I thought it was taken
Well,
out.
it wasn't taken out, only the ADU part was taken
ADU.
out. All right, so, and from what I've read, it wasn't funded. All right, so it's still in the budget. And, you know, what
Without
the
funding.
hell is going on there? I do have one other question off topic. It has to do with Lincoln Hall. You were quoted in this paper. And I don't want to misquote you, so I'm going to just read it specifically. This is from you. The school does have a serious vetting process for both the children who come to it through the court system and those who need placement under the refugee resettlement program, Scarano said. Can you describe for us what a serious vetting process is?
So that's a great question.
And you don't have to answer it now.
No.
That's fine.
So I would say to tune in on our next town board meeting, where I've asked Lincoln Hall to come here and talk. They won't be asking questions, but they're going to be talking about their process. And they're going to be talking about about Lincoln Hall in general, and the specifics of what goes on there. So I've
they
asked them to come in
would
to-
not answer that question, but you would ask that, propose that question to them.
What do you mean?
The serious vetting process. What is that process?
Oh, I'll ask them that. Yeah.
You'll ask them
We'll
that.
put together an agenda for that meeting when they come up, types of things we want them to address.
Two more quick questions about Lincoln Hall. It's nonprofit, I take it. Do they pay taxes of any sort to the town? Whether they do or not, are we responsible for their fire, water, public safety,
Yes.
police?
Yep.
Do they contribute anything to the town for those services?
Are you?
They're one of our largest employers, but from that point of view, I don't think we collect taxes from them. I think
No.
it's
State entity.
Yeah,
state
state
entity.
entity. We don't
State-
collect
It's like the
taxes.
school.
In the past, they've offered us their fields. They also, they've offered their location if we were to ever have any sort of a crisis at the high school or any of the schools where if we had an active shooter situation, they could bring the kids there for their parents to pick up. We can use their campus. So they try to work with the town, but they have very strict guidelines, about their students, their privacy for the people.
Yeah, I'm not talking about students and their privacy. I'm talking about
We're not-
Well, I think
organization. the
when they're here, you
property.
should ask that question about that serious vetting, because they've said they seriously check them out for any prior criminal behavior and that sort of thing.
I understand that. And I think it's really sad what's going on and heartbreaking. But we have an influx of people into the town that we don't know who they are, where they came from. A serious vetting process over the course of a couple of weeks. It's usually takes longer than that. That's just my concern.
But again, to the supervisor's point, May
It's-
5th, they'll be in
They'll
to
be in.
discuss the vetting.
They'll be here to
process and
discuss. I'm not going to have an
invite
open
them in.
question and answer period,
Encourage you to.
because if I don't want to get contentious or any of that nature. So I'm going to let Lincoln Hall have the floor for about 15, 20 minutes. And then I will set up another time for to have an open forum where people in the town can come ask them questions.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay.
These press releases, because these are just the first Representative Maloney sent out and his latest. And he keeps touting all the money that he's bringing to our district. And there's money that's gone to Bedford, Lewisboro, upstate, pretty much all over. So if you guys have any projects that you need,
Always.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Anybody else? No?
Make a motion to close public comment.
So a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great. Okay. Approval of minutes, we're going to remove that and we're going to put that to next month, Patty.
Yes.
Okay. Department reports. Patty, what do we got for department reports?
So I have reports from the town clerk, building inspector, zoning board of appeals, plumbing, bureau of fire prevention, parks and recreation, planning and engineering, tax receiver, and director of finance.
Great. Let's move on to town board here. Let's talk about a little bit about the COVID update here. Roughly about 100 cases here in the town of Somers. And there are currently right around 9 new cases as of today. Next, I'd like to go ahead.
How does that?
Just curious, we haven't seen any increase in, the deaths or anything. Again, it seems to be a more mild case of COVID,
Yeah.
is what I'm understanding. Okay.
Yeah,
I just know when it first started, we were seeing the big, huge numbers there, and I haven't heard that as much anymore.
Yeah,
I'm just
we-
looking back 2 weeks, there were 89 cases. That was 100. There was 10 new cases on the 7th, 9 new ones today. So
yeah,
pretty flat.
we dropped down to, I think at one time we dropped down to about 25 cases in
Yeah, we're
town.
low.
Real low with maybe 2 cases with new cases. We've crept up a little bit here. We've been probably right around the 100. And I haven't gone any higher than 120, 100 or so about, but we keep fluctuating right in this number, 190, 100, somewhere around there every day. So we're pretty stable across. the
Well, look at
board.
this. On January 6th, 118 total cases, 76 new ones.
76 on the
So that was on January. Well, of course, that was when things were bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it stays low and 0.
Thank you.
Let's move on here to New Dawn Family Resource Center. Would they like to give us an update? You just state your name for us.
I'm a little short, so.
Tilt down.
There we
There
go.
you
It's a little intimidating. My name is Patty D'Agostino, and I'm the president of the board of New Dawn Family Resource Center. And thank you Supervisor Scarano and council members for allowing us the time to appear this evening. For those of you who may not know me, I serve as the president of the board of directors. Much has changed, as you've just mentioned. You were talking about your COVID numbers, so things are changing globally and locally. And since our last appearance before the board, which is on more than 2 years ago now, we thought it was an opportune moment to be here and discuss what's going on with us. The mission of New Dawn Family Resource Center is to provide and expand support for programs and services for victims of domestic abuse, sexual assault, elder abuse, and human trafficking in Northern Westchester. Our focus is victims of these crimes because there are overlapping elements among them which result in psychological and physical isolation. And when combined with our geographic location, the challenge in accessing services is overwhelming, creating a perfect storm for lethal situations. Our board is comprised of 6 members, completely volunteer. I will leave a copy of the complete profile with you, but I thought I would just give a brief introduction, particularly Lynn Hillebrand Borsalino, who serves as our vice president and is here this evening. She is a special education and mental health advocate, experienced event planner and communications professional, as well as a private chef. She's committed to creating partnerships to evoke change. Lynn has served on the board of the Mental Health Association of Westchester. She has co-founded our peer support group with Marisa Sullivan, another board member, and currently serves as vice president of our board. And I take that back, it's Marisa Moran. Marisa Moran is, among many other things, she has raised 4 children in Northern Westchester. She's an active part of the training team for the countywide high-risk team. She's a peer support advocate, co-founder, as I mentioned, of our own peer support group. Our treasurer, Frank Hillenbrand, is a founding member of New Dawn and a retired CFO of IBM Japan and IBM Australia, New Zealand. He's a resident of Northern Westchester for 50 plus years and has years of experience as a member and leader of several local boards. Our secretary, Tamara Mitchell, is a founding board member as well and a partner at a leading New York State law firm, Bodner Malone. She brings decades of experience in matrimonial and family law, including representing and advocating for victims of domestic violence. She's an active participant in several boards and bar association committees. She also writes and lectures extensively about domestic violence law and practice and has received numerous awards for her contributions. And Janet Faso is one of our newest members, and she comes to us with 20 plus years of global marketing experience, and she's a former resident of both Pound Ridge and Lewisboro. Chief David Ryan, well, you are all familiar with him. He doesn't need much of an introduction, but he has 40 years in law enforcement, 23 years as chief of police in Pound Ridge, serving on numerous boards and committees throughout the county. And his leadership was significant and motivational in making New Dawn the site for training and meetings for the initial high-risk pilot program.
Can I just hold you for a second?
Yes,
Because
of course.
you were here a couple of years ago. I remember you there, and Chief Ryan was here
Yes.
that time. How many years ago was that? 3?
Yeah, that was
Four?
before COVID, so I think it was 3. Yeah.
3. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember that. So
Yeah.
you're giving us a little update of
Just
how
an
we're doing.
update, because we really didn't introduce a full board back then. We were just getting our legs in the water, so to speak. And we were at the beginning of what was the high-risk pilot program, which, as I mentioned, has been quite a success, such that it is now the model for the expansion of the program countywide. And they're heavy into the process of training all the police departments throughout Westchester County. And that would not have happened without the pilot program, which your town board, as long with the other 4, supported at New Dawn.
Excellent.
So that is, it's a huge accomplishment for 5 small communities.
Does that include the safe house?
New Dawn is not a safe house. No,
Okay.
we do not shelter.
Okay. But we do have a shelter, right?
Well,
We
Putnam Northern
participate.
Westchester Women's Resources Center has a shelter.
Mhm.
Hope Store has a shelter. My sister's place has a shelter.
Okay.
And then there are others, but those are the closest. For myself, I've been living in Westchester County for over 20 years. I'm a marketing and branding professional, a crisis counselor, a divorce mediator, a member of the Lewisboro Police Reform Committee. I participate in the county's Domestic Violence Council, and I'm an appointed at-large member of the Westchester County Women's Advisory Board. So between the 6 of us, we really cover very, very broad strokes of the county, and we have a lot of experience. So let's update you on what's been going on. So pre-COVID, we had started a peer support group. Pace Women's Justice Center had started a satellite walk-in clinic, and it was supported by funding, which Kitley Coville, in her position as legislator at the time, had helped obtain. Northern Westchester high-risk team meetings were taking place regularly, and police trainings had been completed for the 5 northern towns. Hope Store was using the site for individual counseling sessions for their clients. And as with everything else, when COVID happened, things came to a sudden halt, but they've evolved. So here's where we are currently. The Northern Westchester high-risk team meetings and Pace Women's Justice Center Legal Clinic will resume when able, but they are actively involved in participating still. We've welcomed Putnam Northern Westchester Women's Resource Center as an active partner, having had staff at our peer support groups available for counseling during those, with additional possibilities that we're in discussion with them for an expanded collaboration. We've developed a relationship with SAVE, which is Westchester Medical Center's Crisis Intervention Program. Its Senior Director, Alicia Sandberg, has attended our peer support group. SAVE stands for Sexual Assault, Abuse, and Victims Empowerment. We've participated in food insecurity programs under Chief Ryan's leadership during the holidays, providing families with much needed and appreciated Thanksgiving meals. We've established a very limited hardship fund that we are testing out with our clients. We provide safe computer access via appointment to facilitate access to information and communication with support services, as well as remote court appearances. The use of the computer on site provides for secure and confidential access outside of the control of the abuser. So their cookies can't be tracked. There is no history there. A need for additional computers is anticipated as the number of clients increase and service providers begin to meet in person with more frequency. We also provide free cell phones and phone service plans to our clients to facilitate, again, their confidential contact with support and legal services. As you may know, when you share a family plan or have been tied into an iTunes account, you can see where those calls are going. Sometimes you can trace the text, sometimes you can record all of that. So it enhances their safety by removing the abuser's ability to access records of calls made on their zones. Outreach continues to expand. We have a website on the Wix platform that describes our mission, our programs, events, and how to get involved by volunteering, collaborations, donating. We also have a Facebook page, and we promote our services in various community settings, such as this briefing or participating in the Pound Ridge Harvest Festival, posting lawn signs during October National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And in addition, board members speak at professional conferences and other organizational meetings. Our peer support group has continued during COVID on an as-needed basis in a socially distant and safe manner. But since restarting our in-person meetings, the average number of attendees per meeting has almost tripled since COVID. It's now at 2.5 times the rate. During the summer, we added a few youth sessions as well. 15 towns are represented among the attendees, and of the 5 municipalities that came together to help get New Dawn on its feet, the percentage of attendees is as follows. Lewisboro's 25%, Pound Ridge 20%, Somers 10%, Bedford 15%, and North Salem 5%. Our programs that are currently in development include the establishment of the Richard B. Lyman Civic Engagement Service Memorial Scholarship in memory of Dick Lyman, our founding board member, friend, and mentor to many of us. Without his dedication, to the issue, determination, and support, our organization would not exist. The scholarship will be awarded to one high school junior or senior in the public school districts that serve the communities of Bedford, Pound Ridge, Lewisboro, North Salem, and Somers. The details and requirements will be announced in the next month or so, and we hope to have your support in distributing that information among your community members. We're also establishing an advisory board that will serve as a liaison between the board of directors and the community sectors in which the advisory board members have connections. Each advisory board member will be an ambassador for our organization by communicating mission, programs, and activities, as well as bringing back to us ideas and suggestions from the community at large. Additionally, the advisory board will have an active role in the initial implementation and selection process for the scholarship. A program that is in the exploratory stage is the addition of therapeutic support services. Arrangements for trauma-related and counseling therapeutic support services for domestic violence victims at our site are currently being explored. We're hoping to provide services regularly through collaborations with various county programs and other nonprofits, or by contracting domestic violence experienced professionals to perform those services at our location. In addition, I'd like to point out to you that we have been very busy working with donors, and we are now an equal partner with the rent. So we are exactly 20%, we pay our rent. So we're an equal partner with the 5 towns, and you should have received a rebate from that at the beginning of the year. We are funneling that through Lewisboro. They are continuing to serve as our liaison for any agreements with regard to that. I will leave the packet with you. If you have any questions, let me know.
I just want to say thank you. It's a service we wish we didn't have to use, obviously. We want to thank, because I know you work very closely also with Officer McGuire
Yes.
in the back. So Officer McGuire, we appreciate all that you've been doing with this organization as well. You do a great job. And you know, who knew 3 years ago where this would go? So fantastic job, and thanks for the information. We appreciate it.
I think it's great. When you came last time, you're talking about, we're going to start up northern with, there was a question that night, how about people down county? Say, well, we're going to start here and see if we can expand. So you must be very proud of yourselves to provide a service that obviously is needed to people, you know, in difficult circumstances throughout the county. And you say even up into Putnam?
Yes, well, we have about 15 different towns represented, some of which could be Putnam, some of which were down county, and many of which, as I explained, are from the local 5 towns.
Yeah, great.
So really, people are seeking access to counseling and services wherever they can get it. One of the reasons that we are seeking to collaborate and perhaps even bring ourselves mental health services to the organization is because there is such a great need right now, and there is such a long wait list.
How did COVID
Yeah, isn't it supposed to?
affect the people use, did
Increased
it get
times.
worse?
Yeah.
Well, yes, I'm sure. Do you want to talk about it?
I mean, it definitely got worse. There were a lot of people that were stuck in situations.
Did you say it was like it increased by like 3 times or something like that?
Well, our peer support services, since opening them up fully, have increased 2.5 times in attendance. So that is how much that's grown. During COVID, these stats vary, but domestic violence in general has increased significantly. And then that is because of the factor of being in the home. Tensions are rising. Nobody knows what's happening. People are losing their job. Their stress level factors are high, and there is no opportunity to decompress or even seek assistance. I happen to also work for Pace Women's Justice Center, and our calls skyrocketed. And so it is a difficult situation on any given day, but COVID certainly did not help.
I would
And
imagine
it's-
substance abuse increased too.
I would imagine that it would have, but that would be just a factor of all stress. I'm sure it increased across the
But
board
would
for everybody.
exacerbate domestic abuse, I would guess.
So substance abuse is not directly related to domestic abuse. No two people that use substances behave in the same manner. However, we know that substance abuse does lower your guard, your
Inhibitions.
back, your inhibitions, and perhaps where you might have kept yourself in check, you may let it go a lot easier, but it is not a direct correlation to causing it.
You know, a lot, and people don't understand, but when you talk to our local police department and others, you know, you look at Somers and you don't realize that there's a lot of instances of abuse and all that.
Yeah, sure. And so to answer to that point, we need to remember that there are statisticians that handle these types of numbers across the board on a national level. And the statistic is 1 in 4. So 25% of females, 1 in 6 male experience domestic violence, domestic abuse. And remember that the range of types of behavior that fall under that are everything from actual physical abuse to gaslighting, to psychological and emotional abuse, to a pattern of behavior that goes across years, because it's all about taking the control away from the other person. So there's a large range in it. And the number, unfortunately, the number is even higher between 18 and 25, because that's the first time where they're having some serious relationships. And so falling into that. But part of the reason that the high risk team was put into effect is because there is scientific research behind a set of questions that were developed by Jackie Campbell. And Jackie Campbell, she did this. She was a nurse at the time. And so she was able to develop these set of questions that, if asked in a non-judgmental way and asked to the victim, if they answer and score a certain level, then we know the risk factor for lethality for them.
Wow.
And so that is what the police in the area in the 5 towns have been trained in. And that is what Kim works with. And that is what the rest of the county is being trained in. In addition to that, once part of the program is that once you score and say you've scored a very high number, then they connect you immediately. The police are now trained to connect you with a counselor immediately, so that you can then go to the next steps, whether it's seeking shelter, counseling, whether you need an attorney or not. It's that soft handover so that you're not being left. It used to be that you would file a police report and the police officer would give you a packet in a manila envelope, and they would say, here's some information for you. You need to go to White Plains. And so that's not very helpful for anybody, because I know that if I'm a victim of domestic violence, I'm not taking this manila envelope home, am I? I'm probably putting it in the nearest garbage can, because my life is at risk if I take this home. And it is found.
How long
Well,
is
we
those
all-
questions? How many questions are there? How long does it take for an officer who approaches and is trying to evaluate? the
Well, I'm going to
situation?
invite Kim up here. Come tell them what you've been doing.
Well, there's like the Campbell form
We have it, we hand it out for every single, we do it for every domestic. Sorry. We use it for every domestic that we go to. And then they come back to me and then I see if it's, an intimate relationship or partnership and there's any type of, domestic violence, it could be anything. I'll always get in touch with the person, the victim, but
To answer their question,
the numbers, there,
how many minutes?
to do that form,
Yeah.
it would take maybe 2 minutes.
For
Because
the officer who is that
response,
so they meet this person
yes,
who reported about 2 minutes that I can,
yes.
and that can
there's
be
a-
passed on to you.
Yes, there's 3 questions like at the top. And if one
Oh.
of them, they're very serious questions. If one of them is a yes, it's all just yes, no, or doesn't
Gotcha.
apply. So you're just circling. And if it's yes, then we will notify. Now we call Westchester Medical Center. We have, there's the hotline that we call as police. And then there's about, I'd say 15 maybe other questions total, 15 total. So there's just a few more down below. And they just ask a couple of things, but if you have so many more down below, that can be another notification definitely from the scene. And you also ask them if they're interested in services, if it's, something that, they might be interested in. And a lot of times the people are, but I always will reach out just to be sure and it works out.
So the key thing about this list of questions is, right, it provides a template, a way for police officers to rely on a tool and not have to make their own personal judgment. That's the part you want to pull out of it. It's a very difficult job for anyone to do that, right? In any situation. So it puts everybody on sort of like, let's stick with the facts. We know that if these questions are answered in a particular way, and the number is high, that the chances of somebody dying soon are very high. So that's what we want to avoid.
So, I mean, we very much support this now and over the years. I mean, the takeaway here for me is that you're proactive screening and following up. It's not a matter of just taking a report and visiting responding to a call. And what Councilman Garrity was saying is that this is probably one of the highest frequency of situations that our officers run into. So,
Well, not
it's-
only is it that, but it's also one of the most dangerous situations a police officer can
Dangerous,
enter.
right.
And it's really what we need to accept and consider when we're looking at domestic violence. It is a crime that affects the entire community. It's not one person against one person. It is a family that is affected. And if my neighbors' children are experiencing domestic violence, that's eventually going to come out somewhere in the school system. It's going to come out in a sport. Everybody gets affected by what happens. Today, an article came out by Neurosciences Digest that specifically studied children exposed to domestic violence in their lifetime with their parents. Children that are chronically exposed to domestic violence in their lifetime have a 22% likelihood of being in some serious depressive state in their adulthood. We need to stop that. So you need intervention.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Great.
Thanks for what you're
Thanks.
doing again.
Thanks
Thank
for
you, Officer
coming.
McGuire.
Thank you, Officer McGuire.
guys.
Thank you.
Great, let's move on here now to Somers Energy Environment Committee. We have an update here from Don Bleasdale.
Hey, Don.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Don Bleasdale. I'm the chair of the Somers Energy and Environment Committee. Wanted to thank you for the support for the stretch code. I think that's going to be good for going forward. And it's just the first of several of the initiatives that are out there that we're trying to work on. We're going to have a couple of other campaigns. I know we did a community solar a little while back, but we're kind of revisiting some of these things because there's a new structure to get more grant money. So we're working on that. There'll probably be something on clean energy, which will be, heating and cooling. We'll probably do a campaign on that. We're looking at EV charging stations and EV vehicles. We're trying to see what we can do on that front. And then the committee is also working on partnering with the Open Space Committee and trying to work on connecting the trails, which I was talking to the supervisor earlier today. There's been an ongoing, battle to try to use some of the trail beds. There's a lot of conflicting interests and whatever, but we'd like to try to highlight and work on developing them somehow to make it more useful and accessible for the town. So that's kind of a big one to tackle, but we continue to try to work on that. And that's really what I only have to update you on to say. So,
Don, are there still those energy audits of the house that are paid for by NYSERDA through Healthy Home or some of the other companies?
I still believe that you
That's
can.
still available.
Yeah,
That was a
depending
great
on.
program.
Yeah, depending on, I think, income level, some of them were, I'm not 100% sure that, if you're under a certain level, you could get a kind of complimentary audit and then some kind of a scale with that. But even not, if you've never done it to your house, it's certainly worth doing. I mean, the challenges with older houses, it's a little more complicated. But yeah, I mean, you've done it. I know, and I know some of you also probably have done it as well. And it's, you can make little changes, with sealing up in your attic, in your envelope to cut your energy costs. I mean, because, especially when oil and gas at $4+ a gallon, people are, I'm sure like glad the winter's over because it was expensive. So,
Well, they took all that pink fiberglass out of my attic and put it in the foam. It's been much, much better.
Pink Panther.
Whatever that pink stuff
Well, that's,
is.
if you look at your house, and a lot of attics are like, you don't want to go near the attic, but if you can insulate your roof line and keep all your mechanical equipment, especially since you have usually your heating and cooling in the attic, it keeps them in a conditioned space somewhat. So
The mice in the attic are much more comfortable. I have to say.
I'm sure they have a beeline to your house. So, but the stretch code will make a little bit of a difference. And I think in general, and pushing construction and building that way, which is good. I know you mentioned the NIPO doing the light audit. That's going to be obviously pretty helpful too. I don't know if we can connect to that at all. If you're doing that audit and you actually do upgrade lights, there might be some way we can benefit off of that for this and get some grant money back, because that's definitely something there for that too.
Okay.
So, and that's it.
Excellent. Thanks for what you're doing, Don.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good seeing you again.
Thanks, Don.
All right, let's head on here to number 4. Authorize going to bid for the used office equipment and the disposal of any items that are not bid per memo dated April 12th, 2022 from Patricia Calvo, Town Clerk. A complete list of items will be available for review on or before April 28th, 2022. I'd like to make a motion to authorize to go to bid. You get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. All right, number 5, authorize the resolicitation of bids for the replacement of new library windows in the children's room, downstairs director's office, staff area and break room per memo dated April 14th, 2022 from Thomas J. Tuma, building inspector. I'd like to make a motion to authorize the resolicitation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Number 6, authorize the resolicitation of bids for propane storage tanks required for the 100 kW generator at the library per memo dated April 14th, 2022 from Thomas J. Tuma, building inspector. I'd like to make a motion to authorize the resolicitation for that as well.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Right, I have an add-on here. This comes from Adam Smith, our water superintendent. The controller at the Crossroads sewer pump station is failing. And it's going into alarm mode, requiring us to respond in all hours to reset the device after hours on weekends. They're requesting a new multi-smart controller at the cost of $5,161. And we have a memo attached to that. And this is the sole source of a situation for an emergency purpose here. purchase.
Get it done.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to have him go out and get the controller.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay, Parks and Rec, there's no additional business there. Financial, no additional business. Highway, no additional business. Personnel, there are some vacancies as well. We have one for the Affordable Housing Board, is 1 2-year term ending 7/11/2022. Assessment Board of Reviews, a 1 5-year term ending 9/30/2023. Parks and Recreation Board, we have 2 3-year terms ending 3/9/2025. We have Partners in Prevention, a 2 3-year term ending 12/31/2022. And we have another one for Partners in Prevention, a 1 3-year term ending 12/31/2023. Some upcoming vacancies, term expiring in 2022. The Affordable Housing Board, we have 2 2-year terms ending July 11th, 2022. I'd like to acknowledge the retirement of Adam Smith, Superintendent of Town of Water and Sewer Department, effective June 24th, 2022. Adam has been with the town of Somers for 36 years. Before I motion this, I've had the pleasure of working with him for the last couple of months, been on a couple of ride-along tours, and I got to say the man is super knowledgeable and super great to work with. He'll be missed very much so, and I know he's got a good replacement there, but he is going to be missed. And my education level has tremendously increased with him being there, and I'm going to wish him all the best.
Adam shepherded us through creating water districts and setting them up and managing them, and from 36 years ago, where we probably had none, to where we are now, where we have more than a few. As you said, he's a great guy to work with. Everybody likes him, and more importantly, he's quick to respond when you have issues. He fixes the problems, and he's always open to speak to him. So we are going to miss him.
He's not gone yet. So we
Not gone yet. No, until June 24th.
But the thing about him that has always impressed me is he's there to help on things that aren't really his job. So when there's been so many water problems in the park with the well and some other things there, he comes over and helps them. And I mean, that's what you should do in a small town. We have a certain number of people. We should all help each other. That's the good part of a small town. But like you say, he's so knowledgeable, and he's been on the job, and there's not a question he doesn't seem to be able to answer. And he's really just has never lost that attitude of what can I do to help, which is what we want from anybody when you work on anything.
Yeah, I've also gone on a ride along with him, and it's just an impressive operation, and it's largely underground, so you're not going to notice it, but he'll take you to those bunkers. And one of the things you'll notice when you go on these ride alongs is his pride of workmanship. He absolutely took pride in everything he did. He gave us Adam's loop, and in addition to all the fine qualities that were mentioned, he's highly effective at what he does, and will be sorely missed.
No, I just reiterate everything that you said. I think he's been given, awards by his local industry organizations in Westchester County for, doing some of the things like Adam's Loop. And he's just a gentleman. He's just a gentleman.
Yes. So I'd like to make a motion to acknowledge the retirement of Adam Smith, our Superintendent of Town of Water and Sewer Department.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
What do we say in June?
I don't know what we're saying in June. That's a good call. Maybe we just replay this over for him. Planning and engineering, there's no additional business. Police request approval to purchase a 2022 John Deere Gator 4x4 quad in the amount of $15,947 on state bid contract to replace the 2007 Kawasaki Mule 4x4. For this item was approved in the Somers Police Department 2022 budget per memo dated April 15th, 2022 from Brian Linkletter, Chief of the Somers Police Department. I'd like to make a motion to request the approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Consensus agenda. Anybody have anything about the consensus agenda?
Pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward, right? So let me like to just read a couple of,
Can you just make a motion on to adopt the consent?
yeah, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the consensus agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Patty. I'd like to just make a few announcements here as for those watching on TV, and you can see that we have a new town seal behind me. Came in this week and we just hung it up and made sure we had it up here for the meeting tonight. So that's one thing. As we mentioned earlier today, we will have a representative from Lincoln Hall, and they will be giving a 15-minute presentation about their programs at the May 5th, 2022 Town Board Work Session. It won't be a question and answer period. It's just going to be information purposes only. But I think the town has a lot of questions, and hopefully they can be resolved here with the representative coming here, giving some information about Lincoln Hall. There is a ribbon cutting ceremony. The Somers Letter Task Force becomes the first affiliate of Keep America Beautiful in Westchester and is now known as Keep Somers Beautiful. Tomorrow, Friday, April 22nd, is Earth Day, and the ribbon cutting ceremony will be here at 11:30 a.m. All Somers residents are welcome to attend, and that is again is 11:30. I also like to point out Save the Earth banner in front of us here. Artist Eva Carnell. So she did this a while back in high school in 2000 and in 2006.
I remember that.
So I just wanted to point that out to everybody as well. Volunteers are needed for Keep Somers Beautiful, the first cleanup of the season. That is Saturday, April 23rd and Sunday, April 24th, 9 to 12 p.m. Supplies and registration will be here at Town Hall, the Elephant Hotel. Pickers and vests, a $10 deposit each, and then there'll be or cash, or you can or Zeal, I think I believe it is. Household Recycling Day at FDR State Park is Saturday, April 23rd. And that is from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. FDR Park is 2957 Compound Road, Route 202, Yorktown, in lots 2 and 3.
I'm sure everybody's been to that. I've been to that several times. It is so well organized. You're in, you're out, you stay in your car. If you have stuff, there's a whole listing of that they have on the county website. If you go to the westchestergov.com, I think, and just go to, it has recycling and environmental thing, whole list of things, but basically it's any sort of oils you have, or not paint, but any oils, motor oils, poisons, car batteries, rechargeable batteries, not regular batteries, but rechargeable. It's a whole list of things. It's a great thing. And a shredder. So it's all done in your car. It's a great thing.
Yeah.
Everybody should go.
Speaking of the shredder, we had a great turnout for Westchester, had a shredder at Reese Park the other day. I was told, and I went up there and took some pictures, that we had lines all the way out to the exit of Reese Park, where people coming in and bringing their old papers in that they wanted to be shred. So it was a great success. So that was want to announce that as well. Anything else about the FDR? If we move on to one other thing, St. Luke's Episcopal Church, they are looking for medical supplies, T-shirts and socks, collection for Ukraine war victims in conjunction with Irina Portenka, a world-renowned pianist from Kiev, Ukraine. So medical supplies are needed: Band-Aids, large Band-Aids, plastic wraps, surgical wraps, tourniquets, T-shirts needed. All different colors are khaki, dark green, brown, sand in shorts and long sleeves and sizes, extra large, and double X. Socks are needed, medium to large. And that's going to take place now through Thursday, May 19th, 2022. And if you can contact St. Luke's Church on 331 New York Route 100 here, and you can go to their website for more details as well. And then the Friends of Lassen Park in Warrington presents the 100 Acre Wood exhibit Forest Friends. And that's open on Saturday, April 9th, 2022 at Lasden Park. It's 2610 Amawalk Road, Route 35 in Katona, New York. You can go see their website as well for more information. So those are a few things that are happening here in the town. And then next calendar here, we have our town board work session on May 5th. May 12th, we have our town board regular meeting. June 2nd, we have a work session. June 9th, we have our town board regular meeting as well. And we will talk about July and August, guys. And anybody have anything to answer?
Yeah.
Or a question?
I'd just like to mention the passing of William Sargis.
Yeah.
He's a well-known Heritage Hills resident.
He's a great guy.
What a wonderful man. I come to know him at the 10 a.m. men's club. I think we've all run into him. He supported me in the very, very beginning when I started doing this type of work. And, he's just a level-headed Yonkers boy. And
Isn't everybody?
yeah, pretty much.
They all want to be, even if they didn't start.
Yeah, well, I just want to say,
You know,
I'm sorry to hear him. I'm sure everybody has something to say.
Yeah, I met Bill probably when I was 18 years old, and I was a Republican committeeman in the town of Somers. He was one of the ones who was on it. And I remember going to a lot of different functions with them. He was always just he and his wife, who passed away a little while ago also, were always just the nicest couple, entertaining, and always had the best interests of Somers in mind. So I was sorry to read that as well. He was just a really nice guy.
Yeah, he was not enamored with me the first time I ran. I must say, we came at things from different
How is that possible?
angles. I don't know. But over the course of time, I agree with you. It took a while, but yeah, he became very friendly. I look forward when I saw him either up at Heritage Hills or in the shopping center, and he just the warmth and the gregariousness, grew over time. So yeah, I heard that. I was real sorry to hear it too.
Yeah, no, he was a gentleman through and through, and he was engaged and involved until the very end, a pillar of the community that will be sorely missed.
Okay.
All right. Anybody have anything else? No, well, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Give me a call.
Okay.